Hey there! So today I wanted to take you through the steps of how I started my portfolio project. It began by figuring out what type of game I wanted to make, starting off with figuring out what dimension I wanted my game to be in. So 2D, 3D, isometric, top-down, etc. And for my first portfolio project, I landed on 2D as I already had some vague experience with much smaller learning projects. So after I figured out what dimension I wanted the game to be in, I started the process of putting my ideas down on paper. Literally, I took out a scrap piece of paper and crudely drew the basic design. So player moves from left to right to reach the end of the level. I essentially boiled it down to its most basic elements that were to be my game. So once I had the basic idea for my game sketched out on a piece of paper, I could begin thinking about filling in the gaps with a small story and more interesting gameplay. And this is where storyboarding comes in for me. It's an awesome visualization tool for overall game design and level flow. So the storyboard that I used is on Canva. This is the template that I used if you want to go ahead and use it yourself. And I just have a free Canva account, and as you can see here, it's a basic outline of my game. I have my main menu, my first cutscene, first gameplay scene, and second gameplay scene. And while I didn't follow this completely, it was a good roadmap for me to follow when I started to really get into the development inside of Unity. So now I know what I wanted my game to look like, I needed to then start to think about the steps that would take the idea from a storyboard into an actual functional game. That includes an environment, the player character with a movement script, animations and things like that could come later. And then after that, I added in enemies, a health system, collectible systems, just to really flesh things out. And for this task management, I used Trello. Now, I got this idea from a YouTuber, DevDuck. He has a great video on different indie developer tools that he uses. And Trello is an online task management tool. You can see it here. You create a workspace, and then within that workspace, you create lists. And you can name them to do, currently doing, done, or complete, and the different stages that your tasks would go through. And then within each list, you can create a card. So you see here that's the smaller boxes within each column. And in those specific cards, those are your specific tasks that need to get done. And it's really cool because you can open up each task and you can put more details about what needs to get done in order to mark this task complete. You can add bulleted lists, which I found particularly helpful because you can check them off. And if you look here all the way to the right, on the right hand column here, you can see I have little 4 out of 4, 5 out of 5. Those little green boxes, that was me checking off each task. So it was really helpful for me to keep track of my progress. So all this being said, the best piece of advice that I could give is start small and start basic. Build upon the steps as you go. It's great to have the fully fledged idea, your dream game concept. But I encourage you to try and avoid the mistake of running instead of walking out of the gate. I've made this mistake plenty of times. Things get complicated and messy if it's not an organized approach. Unity starts to get confused, and then you start to get confused, and you don't work well together. And as a one-person indie developer like myself, Unity is my coworker. And if I'm organized, Unity is organized, and we can work harmoniously together to put out a great game. So I want to thank you for watching. If you learned something, that would mean the world to me. Please comment below if you did. And I really look forward to putting out my next devlog. Thank you, and have a great day.